The Deluxe Stitcher Company M30 machine works by uncoiling the wire off of a spool of wire, travels around the wire guide spring through the guides on the wire guide spring. It then passes through an anti-backup roller, 2 sets of straightener rollers, wire oil felt, down into the upper wire tube. Once through the upper wire tube, it's fed down between the 2 feed gears, down and around and through the middle wire tube, through another anti-backup device, and also another set of straightener rollers. Then it's fed through the cutter box where it's actually cut off and grabbed and held underneath the formers by the wire holder. After the wire holder has a hold of the cut piece of wire, the formers come down over the top of it and form the cut piece of wire into the stitch. After that, the driver comes down and actually drives the staple through the work. Next step in the process is the clincher points come up and form the legs and fold the legs up to the back side of the work. To thread the wire on a Deluxe Stitcher M30 stitcher machine, you start by installing the spool of wire on the machine. Next, the brake washer, then the spring brake, then the locking collar. The spool of wire should have slight spring tension on it but still turn freely. And the wire pays off in a counterclockwise direction. Next, I'm going to remove the guard. And finally, the middle wire tube. Once the spool is on the machine, you can grab your wire cutter, start to thread the machine. You grab the piece of wire, be sure that the spool doesn't turn, and let the wire uncoil. Through the guide on the end of the wire guide spring, guide the wire through the studs on the wire guide spring and down through the anti-backup device. Next, through 2 sets of straightener rollers. And finally, in between the 2 pieces of oil felt, cut off your excess and guide the end of the piece of wire into the upper wire tube. To continue threading the M30 stitcher machine, be sure your feed release lever is in the open position. Actually keeps the feed gears apart, allowing the wire to pass between them. Install your lower wire tube by inserting the end in the tube and tightening the thumb screw and snapping this end into the spring steel. Now you can use your wire cutters and continue to feed the wire down through until it enters the wire tube. Once it comes around the wire tube, it will come out between the lower anti-backup and straightener rollers. Be sure the wire travels into the lead-in and the lower cutter box area into the stationary cutter. Once the work table pivot shaft is installed, you can go underneath and tighten the set screws to hold the shaft into place. To do this, you'll need a flat-bladed long screwdriver. Once that's done, you can tilt the table for saddle stitching or back up for flat stitching. There it is in the saddle position.
Lifting it back up locks it into the flat stitching position.